Evening, heathens and witches. I'm John Norgrove. We've got Julie Norgrove here. And since we normally record these literally the day before they're supposed to go out because of my irresponsibility.
It's really both of us. Yeah.
It takes a lot of time to research these things, and I mean, we do produce like, if you're listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, we produce like 4 YouTube videos a week, so.
And we have day jobs.
Yes, full time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot. Too many hobbies to be completely
Definitely
fair.
too many hobbies.
But so,
yeah.
anyway,
we need to just win the lotto.
Yeah,
so
that's super
we
fair.
Don't have,
yeah.
so we have time
or
for the
get a
hobbies.
bunch of patrons because, not smooth transition. We started a Patreon celebration noises.
Yay!
You can't hear me moving my hands back and forth
We're
because
doing
I'm
jazz
not
hands.
clapping. That's
Jazz
psychotic.
hands.
Jazz hands don't mean anything on a podcast. They can't hear that. They're not seeing anything.
I feel like, does that mean that we need some sort of jazz hand sound? Like, you know, you have one of those, like...
No.
When I was a kid, we had these, like, keychains, and you press buttons, and they made sounds. Like, we need that, but for jazz hands.
Like the dog toy? Like a clicker?
No, it wasn't a dog toy. It's like a... It was like a tiny, like, almost a remote...
Oh, no, you're
it was
talking
like
about...
1 or 2
You're talking
inches
about
tall.
you're talking about hit clips, where you put a little tiny... old school SD card in there. Listen to 10 seconds of that sweet, sweet Backstreet Boys jam.
I'm talking about something way older than that.
Follow us online. There's a lot more of this. There's a lot more of me talking about hit clips.
Way older than that, like little sound effects keychains.
We're doing a Philosophize Friday on hit clips. Greatest moment in music history. But yeah, so anyway, I set up a Patreon for us. We have a Patreon. It's Nerd Jive on Patreon. So look, everything's by Nerd Jive. So look up Nerd Jive there. If you are listening to us on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, hello, you can see my face. And don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. So now that that's out of the way, because I remembered to do that at the top for freaking once. It is technically Valentine's Day.
As of the day that we're recording this.
As we're recording this, right? So I'm speaking in the present tense. If you're listening to this in the future, that's how time works. So, yeah, you're not here with us. But we would like you to be. What's up?
Join us.
Yeah. Anywho, so it's Valentine's Day, and we decided that the apropos thing to talk about would be something that technically has no direct relation to Valentine's Day, so vaguely. Aphrodite. Yeah, I mean, she does because, you know, love is love and such, but but also no. Valentine's Day is a Hallmark holiday.
Yeah. So, Aphrodite...
But if you want, we'll talk about Valentine's Day or St. Valentine or anything like that. Just, you know.
Well, that kind of deep dive stuff. I mean, we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day.
Not really, no. We had hot wings. That was pretty exciting.
That's the usual thing that we do on Valentine's Day is hot wings.
Yeah.
But also, we do hot wings
We found this North Irish guy recently, and we've been listening to him all day. It's quite fantastic. It's mostly horror movies.
On
all
YouTube,
we've been doing today is like horror movies, arts and crafts, and hot wings. So it's honestly our perfect Valentine's Day.
It really is our perfect Valentine's Day.
It's like horror movies, arts and crafts.
Maybe we can't say that we don't celebrate them.
We do have a tradition.
Like our celebration.
It's just that our tradition involves like 0% hearts.
It just involves like
or
the
like
fires of hell.
Chocolates. Although we have brownies, so there's that. So it doesn't include any of the traditional stuff. But this is a deep dive into Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Aphrodite deep dive.
Yeah. So
part 1, because there's the potential to do more.
There's a ton of information.
There's so much more information
about Aphrodite.
If you are interested in more information, we highly recommend do research. Don't just take my word for it. I'm just an asshole on the internet.
I mean, you could take my word for it, but I am certainly not.
Neither of us are experts, and
I am not accredited.
Have never claimed to be experts.
So there's so much about Aphrodite to like go over, and I'm just gonna kind of go like with a big overview, touching on a few different things, and then and then like later on we can always do. Another one that talks more about her legends and associated myths, but this is going to kind of hit all the big pieces. So Aphrodite was worshipped as the goddess of beauty, love, but like all kinds of love. Not just like romantic love, but also like love between family members, self-love, faith kind of love.
Yeah.
So all-purpose love. She was also the goddess of passion and procreation. Giggity.
She's the goddess of all kinds of love. I'm a man child. I can't not giggle at that.
I mean, they were Greeks, so, you know.
It didn't help. It doesn't help that they were Greeks. No, it does not. What's up?
She was also the patron goddess of prostitutes and sex workers, in the ancient world especially. A goddess of the sea, and even worshipped as a warrior goddess all throughout Greece and into parts of Egypt, actually.
I mean, the warrior goddess love connection completely makes sense. Like, break a lady's heart, see you don't get fucking cut. So
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
You're the one who said it.
What's that saying about
a woman's scorn?
Yeah.
What is that saying about a woman's scorn?
I don't know.
Don't mess with a woman.
Don't fuck with it.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's basically Aphrodite. Be nice.
Psalms 25:15. Don't fuck with a woman's scorn. I don't know. Jesus Christ. I don't know. But you know what I mean. So, like to me, I see that connection as being like a thing. Also, not all cultures have some sort of a beef with like ladies being warriors and such.
Totally. Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, and like the places that she was worshipped as a warrior goddess were kind of like the places that were that she was either worshipped in for a longer amount of time.
Older than Greece.
Yeah, much older than Greece. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe not older than Greece, the place, or
older than the landmass.
Not older than the landmass,
no,
but
obviously.
older than the Greek pantheon.
Yeah, she's a tale as old as time.
But also they were in places where it was like much more honorable to be a warrior, like in Sparta, for instance. She was worshipped for all of the love stuff plus the war stuff. And her name is probably Greek for shining sea foam. They think that that's kind of the best thing there. But her name also may have originated from the Etruscans, the Macedonians, the Semites, or even some sort of Indo-European hybrid word. The thing is they don't really know where her name came from. But Aphrodite also has a ton of nicknames. Like 10 nicknames I was easily able to find. And her nicknames range from Potnia, which means mistress, to Melanis or Skotia, meaning the dark one, or, and this is the most popular of her nicknames, Philommeides, which is smile-loving, or, as talked about in slang, genital-loving.
Sup, smile love. Sometimes you need to smile love. Sometimes you need to smile love back. You know what I'm saying?
Perhaps we should give maybe some sort of age warning here. If you've got kids, why are you even listening to this podcast?
Yeah, what are you doing? This is already an age-blocked podcast, right? So I already marked a little box.
There's going to be
is this adult content?
To sexual things.
Permit check that box. Always check that box. So this is warning for love-based stuff.
Yeah, love-based.
You know what we're talking about?
Sexual-based stuff.
If I say the word penis and it makes you uncomfortable, you should leave.
Oh, I gotta go.
Yeah. So we're not going to use like a cutesy nickname. That's dumb. Yeah. Like, let's all be adults. Seriously. It's the stupidest thing in the world to me. You know what I mean?
Anyways, so Aphrodite, as I mentioned earlier, was also the patron goddess in parts of Egypt. In particular, she was the patron of the Ptolemaic Egyptian queens, and they ruled from about 300 BCE to about 30 BCE, which actually is Cleopatra's death. So it's very possible that Cleopatra used Aphrodite as her patron goddess.
The Egyptian equivalent of Aphrodite, correct?
No, not even the Egyptian
Or
equivalent.
was it like
just
the Egyptians
Aphrodite.
worshipping like Greek Aphrodite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, she was actively worshipped in Alexandria. And she had lots of temples dedicated to her, and there was even a temple on Philae dedicated to Aphrodite. She was also worshipped kind of sort of like yes but no in Rome in the 3rd century BC, she actually merged really with the goddess Venus, the Roman goddess Venus. And prior to this merge, the Roman goddess Venus wasn't actually associated with the same things that Aphrodite was, which I think is really interesting. Venus was associated with springtime and plants and bountiful harvests and stuff like that. Very Demeter.
Yeah. But you can see the connection there, right?
Certainly,
between,
absolutely.
Like
yeah.
the springtime and a goddess whose nickname is fucking genital love, so.
One of them. So it's really common for people to want to use Venus and Aphrodite interchangeably,
Sure.
but because of the way that sort of worked out in time, that actually isn't really super accurate. But it is very possible that the worship of Aphrodite was so widespread in Italy during the Roman Empire that they just figured, we'll just merge them all into one.
Yeah.
But this does come around a time where
bunch of people were being merged into
where the Emperor Constantine was really turning things into what he wanted as religious things changed there. So there's so she's got like a lot of names that she can go by.
All right, so let's dive into the legend thereof and therein. Aphrodite.
So I've got to preface this by saying this is really Greek mythology, and I'm going with, for the most part, the most common assumptions and beliefs and things that were written about her. But also, you guys got to remember that Greek mythology is filled with people doing terrible things to each other. And I'm not really going to censor that, so just be warned, like...
Yeah. This is Greek mythology.
Greek mythology is its own thing.
But it's also, like, this is just what the mythos is,
Yeah.
I guess
I didn't make this up. I'm not glorifying any of that stuff.
Trigger warning or whatever the fuck, right?
But there's definitely going to be some stuff about Greek mythology that modern people are just, like, horrified by.
Yeah.
So... According to, there's really two main like theories or legends that is of her. So not archaeological but mythological origins. So according to Homer, and not the Simpsons Homer, Aphrodite was the daughter of Zeus and the Titan Dione, who was considered a sea goddess. But according to Hesiod, when Cronus severed his father's genitals to stop his torment over the land and the Titans, Cronus then tossed Uranus's genitals into the sea. And from those genitals, fully formed, Aphrodite emerged. Now, I have to say, as an aside, if you're wondering who Cronus and Uranus are, Uranus is Zeus's grandpa. And in Greek mythos, it's always like the son has to kill the father.
So, how would you say this? You would say Cronus yeeted Uranus's genitals into the sea.
Into the sea.
And from it, Aphrodite was born, as said by Hesiod. Yeah,
pretty much. He says something about pure white flesh also, which is super gross. So, yeah. Either way, she basically emerged from the sea fully grown. Like Aphrodite was never a child, always a fully grown, nubile woman. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She landed, as it were, out of the sea at Paphos, which is on the island of Cyprus. That's in the Mediterranean Sea, in that whole area there. But Aphrodite seems to be in a lot of archaeological evidence and even comparative mythological evidence that she was an older goddess, perhaps brought by the Phoenicians to the Greeks, because her Aphrodite's sacred grove and even like statues that were found in archaeological evidence have been found as far back as the 3rd millennium. So that's 3000 something BC. So it's possible that she's been worshipped for a way longer time and has sort of just generationally become Aphrodite in the way that some Greek gods actually have generations, because Zeus is a lot of the same thing as Cronus, who is a lot of the same thing as Uranus, and it just sort of goes...
BCE.
Yeah, BCE. Yeah, she might have been a Phoenician goddess and worshipped for like way longer than the poets really thought that she was worshipped for. And Aphrodite was either a really generous, loving goddess, or who helped connect people who were in love. Like, I'm looking at you, Hippomenes, who fell in love with Atalanta. Or she was a vengeful goddess, not to be fucked with.
Sure.
Still looking at you, Hippomedes. Most of the stories are about her being vengeful, are usually associated with another person, a mortal, or even another god who angered or offended her based on, you know, that person's pride. And the most famous one of these stories is the Judgment of Paris, which actually leads to the Trojan War. There's been a ton of movies made about it, like looking at you, Brad Pitt.
Someone had an airplane up in the sky and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's way, way longer than this, but I'm going to TLDR you guys on the Judgment of Paris. Not the Trojan War, because that's like a whole few hours in and of itself.
We can do a podcast just on the Trojan War.
Sure
Can we start talking about ancient wars? I mean...
we sure could. So, once upon a time, Athena...
in Gelderland?
Hera and Aphrodite were all at a party, and all of these goddesses were like in their cups basically and being like, I'm the most beautiful goddess of all, and then the other one is like, no, it's me, and no, it's me. Sure. Okay, so they were like Zeus,
as you do.
Yeah, so Hera, his wife, Athena, his daughter, and Aphrodite, maybe his cousin, goes up to Zeus.
Cousin? Sister? Sister cousin?
Goes up to her and goes up to Zeus, and they're like, Zeus, which one of us is the most beautiful? And he was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into this. So he decides to let...
That's a trap.
So he tells them, like, okay, well, I'm going to have this random mortal dude who's like 18 choose. This guy's name is Paris. So Zeus is like, I'm going to have Paris choose. So Paris...
Tom Paris. What I'm saying, Tom. What I'm saying, Tom Paris. Don't do that shit. Just stay on Voyager. Delta Quadrant. Way safer than Olympus. Yeah.
So
two angry bitches right there.
So Paris, no relation to Voyager, was like bathing in like a beautiful mountain spring. And all of a sudden, these goddesses show up. This naked dude who's like 18 in a spring and is like, I am the goddess Hera, Athena, Aphrodite. Yeah. We need you to decide which of the three of us is the most beautiful.
Yeah.
And he was like, ooh, boy, like, I'm not sure. And by now, they're like, I'm assuming they're like angry drunk, right? And they're like, you have to decide. Hera is like, if you pick me, I'll give you all the power in the world. You can rule an entire continent. Athena was like...
Just immediately default to blackmailing. Good job. Very fair.
Right?
Hashtag Greek gods follow their own
but like,
rules.
are you surprised? Because I'm not.
No.
Athena was like, if you choose me, I'll give you fame and glory in battle, and I'll give you all the wisdom you want. Like, particularly military wisdom.
Yeah.
And Aphrodite was like, hey, yo, I'll let you marry the most beautiful girl in the world. So Paris, being a naked 18-year-old bathing in a hot spring in front of three incredibly beautiful goddesses, was like, of course, yeah, I want to marry the most beautiful woman in the world. So Aphrodite was like, yes! Except the only problem is that the most beautiful woman in the world is Helen of Troy. You know, the face that launched 1,000 ships. Yeah. She was already married to someone else. So Aphrodite had to follow through on this promise. And because Hera and Athena were pissed off at her about this previous thing, they decided to back the other side for a while, but also kind of, and also not really. And then that's the Trojan War.
Yeah.
So...
Well, the antithesis for the Trojan War, at least. Mythologically speaking.
No, it's not the antithesis. It's the kickoff.
Yeah, well...
It's the proverbial coin flip.
Yeah.
You know, that NFL coin flip thing? The Super Bowl just happened recently, so...
Yeah, I'm just shocked that you know that about the footballs.
That's all I know about the sports balls.
You may have only remembered the coin flip.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all I got. So,
and apparently there's a weird mirror room in the background. So, just in case you ever go to a football game, if clowns are chasing you, don't go into the mirror room. That's what clowns get
Don't
you.
go there. It's
Seen
not
enough
good.
horror movies to know that for certain. You know?
So, excuse me, Aphrodite has a lot of legends and myths associated with her, and I'm not going to get into most of those, but she had...
Although we can.
Like most Greek gods and, you know, famous mythological Greek people, she had a lot of lovers.
Yeah.
And most commonly it is said that she was married to Hephaestus, who's the god of fire and blacksmiths and metalworking. He also was disabled, which is a really interesting thing for Greek mythology to have associated with it, particularly because if a baby was born and they just didn't like the way the baby looked, they would just leave it in the woods. So Hephaestus dodged a bullet there.
Could you imagine just walking in the woods and finding a baby? What do? Do you judge that baby? Maybe you leave it there? No, you got to take that baby back into town.
Yeah.
Then that family's got to be like, "Ooh, that baby looks like a baby that we left back there like a couple of days ago."
Oh my gosh, that would be...
What are we going to do? I'm just saying, it makes for some interesting... No wonder they always got into fights about shit. People were just finding and returning babies that were left in the woods. Right? You don't know why that baby's doing there. Maybe they forgot it. Also,
it's a cursed baby.
What if you forgot a baby? You're not going to expect somebody to find that baby because people are used to just seeing babies in the woods. It's very crazy. Also, there's quite nothing as nightmarish as like walking through the woods at night because the hunt took a little too long and you just hear like a baby crying in the distance and you know you're several miles from town still. Yeah, that's
horrifying.
Fucking nightmare for you.
So anyway, Aphrodite was commonly believed to be married to Hephaestus.
Yeah.
And it seems a little silly or maybe not silly, but at least surprising that they would have chosen the most beautiful to be married to a man who was like dirty and like working in the blacksmith and was also like disabled.
He's the god of fire and blacksmithing and metalwork. He's the god of like all of the things that make your life not tense and dying.
He is. So the story behind that is that Aphrodite showed up to Olympus like fully grown, totally naked out of the sea.
Full grown.
And all the gods were like, "Yo, what's up, girl?" And Zeus didn't want the other gods fighting over her, so he married her off fast to Hephaestus, who was thrilled. Guys, he was so happy. He made her all kinds of jewelry, and he also made her a girdle that made her irresistible sexually to most men. And I say most men because some men are gay and do not like women.
Yeah. It doesn't work on them.
I actually read a really interesting Reddit post a few years ago about this Reddit user who was like, I worship, only he's going by the Roman side of things, so he worshipped Venus and Vulcan, which are the loose equivalents of Aphrodite and Hephaestus. And he was like, in my headcanon, Hephaestus, Vulcan, is the patron god of BDSM. And it wasn't that Aphrodite ever cheated on him, but that they were, like, into it. Because if you think about it, like, Hephaestus is the guy who made all the stuff. Yeah. Like, the shields and the swords and all of those things. He made those, and those other gods relied on them. So it was kind of like he was conning them, basically. And maybe he was just into, like, having Aphrodite go and see other people. Not that he was like a cuckold or anything, because that is a common interpretation of that, but that the terms of their relationship
they were just in like
an
open relationship. Yeah, I don't see an issue with that at all. I like that. That makes more sense than like the dude who's the god of fire and blacksmithing and metalwork is like just I guess allowing it to happen.
Well, I mean, what
like whatever,
else would he
because you know how some people like try to interpret
that made her sexually irresistible to men.
Yeah. Well, it's just because he's a nice guy, and you know, like he doesn't give a shit about that stuff, which is completely fair and also pretty rational for like a Greek interpretation of these things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that idea a lot better.
Yeah. The second most popular one is that she was an unmarried consort of Ares. So unmarried consort being like they're kind of just like long-term friends with benefits, and like when it works they're together, and when it doesn't work they're not together. And Ares is the god of war. So it when you're looking at the myths associated with that, it's a very tumultuous situation. She was also tied to a mortal named Anchises, who was either a really hot goat herder or Zeus getting back at her because he was mad that she kept making all the other deities fall in love with mortals and then have mortal babies. I don't know why Zeus would be upset with this. He is the worst offender of all of them, but that's Anchises. And then really popularly, Adonis, who was also a mortal. And Adonis is also kind of Aphrodite's surrogate son. The Greek stuff is weird. So Aphrodite's got mad at Adonis's mother, and she cursed his mother before Adonis was born, that is. So she cursed his mother to lust after her own father. And after Adonis was conceived, and her father chased her out of the castle, the gods got mad, and Zeus turned Adonis's mother into a tree. That tree gave birth to a baby, which Aphrodite went and grabbed, and then brought to Persephone in the underworld to raise. But was like, as he's growing up, she's like, he is so hot, I need Adonis to be with me. And Persephone is like, no, he's mine. And so again, they asked Zeus to intervene, and this time he actually did something relatively fair. He said that Adonis would live with Persephone for a third of the year, and Aphrodite for a third of the year, and then he could choose whoever to spend the last third of the year with, and he chose Aphrodite. So that's really like her second, you know?
Yeah.
And he was eventually killed by a boar through possibly nefarious means and died literally in her arms. Super sad, actually.
Yeah.
But Aphrodite not only... so Aphrodite doesn't have as long of a lover's list as some gods do.
But she has some.
She does have some.
Yeah. Yeah, she does have some. So. All right, we're back, guys. Hey. Ooh, hey. Camera break. So I guess this would be the halfway point where I'm gonna re-say, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that kind of stuff. If you are listening to us on a podcast, subscribe to us, listen to the rest of our things. If you would like to see our faces, you can watch us on YouTube and talk to us there. Comment below about the stuff. Let us know what you think about all this, and what if you have a headcanon, what your headcanon is, as it were. And if you would like to support us in the endeavors of making these YouTube videos and this podcast, then you can support us over on Patreon. We are Nerd Jive everywhere. So Nerd Jive on Twitter, Nerd Jive on Instagram, Nerd Jive on Facebook, Nerd Jive on Patreon.
NerdDrive.com.
NerdDrive.com. Just go to the website. It's easier, man. But thank you for listening, and let's continue with attendance.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah. And not the kind of attendance where not present.
Well, I mean, if we're being fair, I'm not super present either, but that doesn't really fucking count, does it?
When I was in school, I would get so nervous, so anxious when it was about to be my name that was called.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you guys have to do something? Did you have to perform a backflip every time they called you?
No, you said, like, raise your hand or say here or present or whatever. The teachers didn't like it when you said yo. I do remember that. I never said yo. That wasn't me. I say yo now as, like, an almost 40-year-old than I did at 16.
Hey, yo, what's up?
No, I would get so nervous because I would be like, okay, it's almost my time. And, like, oh man, what if I mess up? What if my voice doesn't work? What if I don't know, have a pen in my hand and raise my hand and the pen goes flying? Either way,
Someone's in here.
I would super stress out over that.
Oh my god, no, yeah, I was the exact opposite. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really even know if I super participate in those.
I don't
really super participate in a lot of stuff, so
yeah.
It's just not necessary, guys. We all worry about too much stuff. You know what? Worry about less stuff, man. Yeah,
so that's not the kind of attendance, but
we are both here. So if you're here,
we are both
please,
here. You're here.
Say here. If you're driving in a car, please leave your hands on the wheel when you say here. I don't need you raising your hand, getting in an accident. That's not what's happening.
Oh, man. You're trying to
first.
kill off one of our 2 listeners? Perhaps
No, I'm
both
not.
of our 2 listeners?
Our singular YouTube listener and our singular podcast stream listener. What is up? Hopefully this got fed to whatever your streaming app is. I'm going to be honest. I have no fucking clue.
So, anyways, much like fancy ladies throughout time...
Much ado like fancy ladies.
Aphrodite had a bunch of people that kind of hung out with her and like followed her around and like Loki helped
crew.
her. Yeah, she didn't even have a crew, dude. She had like a posse. She had like
posse, army. Listen, really, we're just talking 3, 5, and 9.
It was like an army.
You know what I'm saying?
So her attendants are sometimes her children, sometimes not. But I'm just gonna run through these real quick because this is a surprisingly long list, and I definitely left some out.
We'll go back and forth. You read the first one, then I'll read the second one.
Yeah? Okay.
Let's do this. Let's see what I can do, because I didn't read these notes
she was
yet.
attended... Yeah, he has no idea what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
So she was attended by the Erotes, and one of them... There's 4 of them. One of them was Himeros, the god of desire and unrequited love.
Okay, so, and then also, come on, man, the god of Elotes? Pothos, the god of longing and yearning.
Yeah.
I know who
And
that one is.
Teros, the god of requited love, the punisher of those who scorn the advances of others. And I'm actually going to take this next one, too.
Okay, hold on. And Teros is the god of requited love.
Requited love. So unrequited being when you love someone and they don't love you back.
Yeah, okay, so
But
he's the god of
requited-
love that both participants are involved in. Mm-hmm. But he's also the punisher of those who scorn the advances of others.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're in requited love, and fucking Dylan over here starts hitting on you, and then you're like, hey, ooh, Dylan, I don't know about that. Are you gonna get hate from this motherfucker supposed to be patron saint of your requited love? You see how confusing this is? I'm just saying. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying, what about Dylan? Am I getting punished for this? Is Dylan getting punished for this?
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
Yeah. So the last of the Erotes was also Eros, who's otherwise known by Cupid, and who basically is all of those tiny little cherubic babies. That's where that all comes from.
I'm sorry.
Eros is the god of lust and sexual desire.
He is a tiny cherubic baby.
Yes, with wings.
Okay, because you said all of them, and so in my mind,
he was the first.
No. If he's all of them, then it's a hive mind thing. Like all the tiny babies are seeing and knowing what all the other tiny flying babies are seeing and knowing, and that is fucking horrifying.
I mean, that is possible. I mean, there's a lot of tiny cherubic babies.
Somebody don't
in,
steal
like,
this idea. I'm gonna write the horror story of a herd of cupids. Just a shitty. It's gonna be called #Cupid. Shitty Valentine's Day horror movie. Where the cupids all are part of a hive mind.
So Eros,
Called Eros.
Cupid,
Got it.
was the god of lust
Yeah.
and sexual desire. So I want you to remember that every time you see a little cherub somewhere, that
Yeah.
they didn't start out that way.
baby was a horn dog.
Yeah. So Eros was either a primordial Greek god, meaning like predating the Zeus pantheon,
Yeah, he's
or he
primordial.
was the child of Aphrodite and Ares, or the child of Aphrodite and Uranus, whose junk she morphed out of, depending on the
Did he
time.
regrow his junk?
You don't know. It's Greek mythology, man.
I want to know that.
And it really depends on the source, but also the time in which they were being worshipped. So I'll have you take the next one.
Okay, so this is the charities.
Yeah. Aglaea.
Aglaea. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Aglaea, which is the charity of splendor. Mm-hmm. Boy, you gave me an unkind one. I feel
do that on
scorned. Thank you.
Euphrosyne.
Wow, fuck you. Euphrosyne, the charity of joy, and Thalia, the charity of abundance.
Yeah. The Hore, also known as the Hours. I don't know why they were called that. Eunomia, law and order.
No.
Dike, justice. And Irene, peace.
I'm sorry. Eunomia is just like you trying to get out of some shit with a motherfucker that like definitely knows you, who you were like, hey, what's up? And he was just like, what do you mean, what's up? And you're just like, you know me, it's cool. We're cool.
Oh my gosh.
We're friends. We were in lit with Miss What's Her Name last year. Oh Jesus.
That's your dad joke for the day. You're done.
Okay, Harmonia, or Harmony, who is, so Aphrodite's child by way of Ares.
Yeah.
So Harmony is the offspring of war and love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll accept that, sure.
Hebe, which is the goddess of youth, and Aphrodite, who is depicted as having the clothing and body of a woman, who is lifting up her dress to show a fully erect dick and balls. Aphrodite was later turned into Hermaphroditus, and statues of him are Aphrodite. And statues of him are thought to bring good luck and to ward off the evil eye. Must be that wiener.
Is it... okay, so it's just like a dude showing you his junk, but he's wearing like lady stuff, like lady clothes.
That has man bits. But it's a clear, definitive difference between Aphrodite. They are not the same person.
No, I get that they're not the same person.
Yeah.
But I guess, depicted as having the clothing, and body. Okay, that's the part that I was wondering about. Yeah. I was like, is this just like a statue of a flasher from New York you're putting on your altar? Or is it like, does Aphrodite got boobies? And that makes sense. Because of the hermaphroditus part.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so, wow, that is just...
Hymeos? I'm not doing this on purpose.
She is, guys. I mean, Hymeos is entirely a plausible way to say that. There are 48 vowels in that word, but sure. Yeah. Hymeos, god of marriage ceremonies, and her child, Aphrodite's child with Dionysus, who's the god of grapes and such.
Wine and debauchery.
Yeah, wine and debauchery. Yeah. Grapes and such.
It's also thought...
Okay, listen, I'm right now, I'm going to interrupt this. I am playing Hades right now on Steam. I fucking love this game so much. It is so much fun. Fucking get this game. It was also like incredibly inexpensive. I'm actually going to rebuy it on the Switch so I can play it, on the road or whatever. But sometimes I don't want to like have to log in to play a game on my computer. It's like more work. I'm lazy. First of all, I love Aphrodite that they have depicted in the game is badass.
Yeah.
Dionysus is like my boy.
Yeah.
In the game.
So
I love all of his stuff, and I love his like vibe in the game.
Yeah.
And I love his vibe as a general rule is just like drunken debauchery. Hey, I often call myself the drunk fairy.
That is
like true. Way more often than I probably logically should, but it's just because I'm the guy that's like, hey, we should go have a drink, or like when we're at we're done with a beer fest, and I'm just like, let's all go back to my place and have a drink, because,
So I mean,
drink debauchery.
I think of Hymeos as being like the god of like wild parties about love. So I love that Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and Dionysus, the god of debauchery, created the god of marriage ceremonies. It's fantastic.
I mean, I don't know about if you're out there, your marriage ceremony, but let me tell you what, our marriage ceremony, whole ass, the goddess of love and the goddess of drunken debauchery.
And Hymeos was definitely there. That's how ours was.
That was a fucking party, dude.
She also was attended by Pytho, who is the goddess of seduction and also persuasion.
Got it. He's purple. He's a purple guy. He's played by a Brit. And then Phobos, the god of fear and panic, and Deimos.
Just adding extra vowels in there.
Man, this is like a lot of beers in. The god of dread and terror. God, I imagine.
Yeah.
Deimos is.
Deimos.
Yeah, I got Dwayne the Rock Johnson in my head, so that's what I'm thinking about.
No.
Is Deimos the god of dread and terror? Very fair. He's a huge guy. He's fucking nightmare fuel. I love him to death. Yeah, but he's terrifying. If he's like, do it, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna not get punched by the Hulk. Fucking obviously. And thought to be the children of her and Ares.
Yeah.
So it would be, let's say, love and war is fear and panic. Very fair. And dread and terror. Also very fair. Very fair. Listen, it's not these gods. She should have forested those kids. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We could have had a lot less war-based fear and panic and dread around our loved ones, which I would be very happy about. So yeah. Yeah.
So
fuck
the
those
last
kids.
of her most important attendants was Priapus. And Priapus is the god of male virility, of fruit plants and gardens.
Yeah.
And
he's the god of boners and things that also look like boners.
And Priapus is Aphrodite's son, but it's unclear who her father is. It could be one of literally any of four other different Greek gods. Priapus.
Priapus is a lady god.
Nope, it's a male god.
Oh,
so,
I thought you said her. That's why I was just like, oh, it's a lady god?
So Aphrodite, and we don't know who fathered Priapus.
Okay.
So the story goes that while Aphrodite was pregnant with Priapus, Hera got mad at her and rubbed a potion on Aphrodite's belly.
Hera getting mad about everything, dog.
To ensure that the child would be hideous. She did this while Aphrodite was sleeping. So when Priapus was born...
Okay. You're trying to tell me right now. The story for this is that Hera was just choosing to be a bitch.
Yeah.
And just rubbed ugly cream on Aphrodite's pregnant belly while she slept.
Yeah.
That is some fucking messed up ant shit. Right, well, because they would be, if she was Zeus's cousin... So they're like cousin-in-laws.
They're like sister cousins.
They're like sister.
Technically, Hera is also his sibling.
So they're like sister. Yeah. That's just some that's some fucked up sister rivalry shit. That's just like, you're gonna have an ugly baby. Ha ha, bitch. That's not nice. That's not nice at all.
When the baby was born, Aphrodite was horrified to see that this child was in fact ugly. Priapus had
love your children, even if they're ugly.
Priapus.
Yeah.
Had a pot belly, a huge tongue, and was born with a massive, permanently erect penis. This is a baby.
Okay. What is a huge tongue? Is it just like always sticking out of the mouth, or is this thing just like?
Yes, he was always depicted as like his tongue out of his mouth, like in a very Kiss fashion.
Like a 80s hair metal snake tongue. Mm-hmm. Just always sticking out.
So Aphrodite was
and
horrified.
And like a little pot belly.
Yeah. And a giant erect penis. Like, every source that I looked at was that's
fucking horrifying.
This erect penis on this baby Priapus was huge, guys. Okay, so Aphrodite was horrified. I imagine somewhere Hera is, like, cackling into her hands.
Yeah.
And
Hera's
Aphrodite
like, oh, that really sucks about your ugly baby.
Aphrodite does what every parent in Greece did that had an ugly child, according to myth, which is leave the baby in a forest.
Sometimes you gotta forest the baby, I guess. That's what I'm learning from today.
A herdsman found the baby.
Sure, yeah.
And raised the baby.
Yeah.
I want you to think about finding...
What were we just talking about?
We were just talking about this.
I was just talking about this. We gotta worry about finding babies in the woods because of all these motherfuckers leaving babies in the woods. And now you have to worry
about finding babies with a huge tongue, a pot belly, and a giant, fully erect penis. Like Ron Jeremy level of erect penis.
This is my thinking, is that this herdsman, like a sheep escaped or whatever the fuck the Greek equivalent of a sheep was. I don't know if they were using sheep. In my mind, it's like a
sheep.
It's like a
they had sheep.
Well, in my mind, it's like a giant, modern, genetically engineered American sheep. You know, those just monstrosities.
Oh my god.
Of
they
threat.
definitely had sheep.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, like the big sheep. I don't know if they had like a different type of sheep. You know how like sheep in Scotland are different than sheep here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to know what kind of sheep. In my mind, it's an American sheep.
I don't know.
It's maybe one of those sleep center sheeps. You know what I'm talking about? Fuck those sheeps. You know exactly the shape of a sheep I'm talking about when I say that, by the way.
Yeah.
But in my mind, one of those fucks ran off, and he's like, I'm gonna chase it down, and he chased it down, and he saw this baby, and he was just like, listen, I want to leave this baby behind, because I don't have time for this fucking baby. But nobody's gonna believe that I saw this baby if they're like, oh man, I ran into a baby in the woods, and they're like, everybody runs into babies in the woods, guys. I don't know who's leaving all these fucking babies in the woods. We should have a town meeting about it, maybe. But, like, whatever. And you're like, no. It wasn't a regular baby. Think of this baby. It was a very weird-looking baby. Big snake tongue coming out its mouth. Pot belly. Huge erect penis. And his friends at the like, pub or whatever were like, no, that's you described 3 things that babies don't have. So, no, we don't believe that. So you have to bring it home so you can be like, hey, guys, I found a baby in the woods. Let me describe how it looked. And then you describe it, and they're like, that doesn't make any sense. And you're like, Brenda, bring in the baby. And she brings in the baby, and they're like, wow, that is aggressive.
So not only did he bring this baby home,
he had to.
And
it's
raise
the only way
the
nobody
baby,
would believe him.
But he also learned, as Priapus aged, and I don't know that he ever became not the shape of a baby, just larger, just sized up. You know, you take the thing in the Photoshop to size it up. Wow, that was awful.
Enhanced.
That was very progressive progressive insurance commercial of me. And the herdsman later found that Priapus, this baby, could use his massive penis to aid the growth of plants.
I don't know what that means, and I don't like what that means.
I don't know what it means either, nor do I like what it means.
Does Priapus have wings? Is he one of them flying babies? Is he part of the hive mind
I don't believe
of
that,
Cupid?
I don't believe that he has has wings.
Maybe he just has access to the hive mind. Maybe he's like a disconnected Borg. What you know about Star Trek Voyager, we're bringing it back.
Maybe. I had to save that one for last because that was just too good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the myths and legends of Aphrodite. She has a bunch of other children too, and some other lovers that there's so many of them. These Greek gods, they were really horny.
If her favorite child, lover, attendant, or legend we didn't cover, comment below. Maybe DM us on social media.
Yeah, if you want to hear me tell a Greek mythology tale, hit me up because I know most of them.
Yeah, we'll just do that, dude. We'll do like Greek Myth Hour.
Yeah. So Aphrodite's main festival was Aphrodisia. And it was actually celebrated it was a 3-day long festival. Most festivals were like 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, you'd get in the evening and you'd start partying after dinner, and then you'd have a whole day of debauch partying, and then the next morning you're kind of like done, but like after party, like, oh, friend me on Facebook.
Sounds like a beer fest or a music fest or an outdoor fest or
exactly. So it was
literally all of the things
so it was like a standard 3-day festival. And it was celebrated in late July or early August. The dates kind of morphed around.
Aphrodisia sounds like a techno laser sort of festival, you know what
I mean, all I can think of is aphrodisiacs, and I'm just like, man, it's been a while since I've had oysters. And then I'm like, oh man, we don't really have any chocolate in this house. So that's really the problem.
We ran out of chocolate, and
we did, and
the last time we bought oysters, we bought like a buttload, but we also ate like all of them immediately, didn't we?
Oh, I was so full from oysters.
Yeah.
Anyway, this festival...
They just don't last very long. We also get them like hyper fresh.
Yeah, so. We do. This festival was celebrated for 3 days in late July and early August, and it kicked off by sacrificing a dove, which is a sacred animal to Aphrodite, to purify the altar. Mm-hmm. However, no other bloody sacrifices were allowed during this festival, which is abnormal because most festivals, particularly in ancient times, had bloody sacrifices. And when I say bloody, again, we talked about this in our Yule episode. We're looking at a sacrifice where an animal is killed to honor a god or a being of some sort, and really, you know, it wasn't killing them in waste. You know, it was generally killing them in a very humane way, and then they would okay, and then they would dress the animal and they would eat the animal.
If you are not cool with killing animals, let's fucking tiny font bottom screen this real quick. Like, if you're not cool with killing animals, don't kill animals. Jesus
totally.
Christ. You definitely don't need to do that. Also, I'm not saying that you need to kill an animal to make a sacrifice, right? If you're eating a hamburger, a cow was already killed. That's how hamburgers made. If you don't know that, you're too young to be on this podcast. You should leave, please. Jesus Christ. But you could still eat a hamburger, and the death of that animal for you can be for the thing that you
Yes.
you know that you're sacrificing it
Yeah.
for. And when you really think about like let's apply right now today logic, right? Like I know that it's sort of like socially appropriate to assume that old-timey people were barbaric, which is, I think, uncalled for and unkind. But when you look at, like, if you apply modern logic to this, if I'm raising chickens and I decide to have a dope party with friends and shit, I have to feed them, which means that I would have to kill some of my chickens that I'm raising. So if we're already having like a dope party for Aphrodite, hey, we're having an Aphrodite party. You want to come to my Aphrodite party? I would be killing those chickens anyway, so I can feed everybody coming to my party. Mm-hmm. So why not make those killing chickens? So you see how it takes something that like modernly, and I understand that like for those of us that are like in the know, I'm 100% saying shit that is already obvious. But you know, for clarification's sake and for logic's sake, often something like a herd animal or food animal sacrifice was because that thing was already going to be ate tonight or prepared in some particular and special manner. Yeah. So it all sort of collates into like a nice uniform ritual that nowadays we talk about, but back then was just the mode and logic of practice. You couldn't go to Safeway the day before your sweet Aphrodite party in fucking 60 BCE to pick up some pork or whatever the fuck,
that
right? You had to make
at the
pork
time
chops
to prohibit other sacrifices.
For her to do something less would indicate clearly that it was like a for me at least, it indicates that it was a meat-free party.
It very well may have been, or just included.
But it could have also, I was going to say, it could also be like a fish party.
Yeah.
But they don't count, I guess. I don't know. I love fish.
I don't know.
But
so,
they don't count, I guess.
Worshippers would cleanse, they would bring to the temple their images of Aphrodite, and also actually Patho, and sometimes, but less commonly, some of her other attendants if you wanted to be in their favor. Mm-hmm. And you would cleanse them in the waters near the temple for, you know, luck and whatnot for the next year. Worshippers brought offerings with them as well. They brought offerings of fire. I do not know what that means. They just brought fire. They're just like firebenders showing up to a party.
Well, offerings for fire?
Offerings of fire.
Maybe they brought like kindling.
I don't know.
Or paper.
I don't know. It's unclear.
Or wood.
It's unclear.
I mean, listen,
so
she's the goddess of love. Maybe they just brought wood. I'm just saying.
No, you already used your dad joke.
They brought wood. It's second dad joke. Hashtag free the dad jokes.
No,
I actually hate dad jokes.
No. Okay.
But I'm good at them.
So they brought offerings of fire, of flowers, of incense, and they also brought white male goats. That is a thing that was associated with Aphrodite. And in return, by the priestesses, or the priests, because some were boys too, they were given sea salt and bread baked in the shape of a phallus. And her priestesses also engaged in ritual or sacred prostitution, and it's very possible that this was like a sexy time.
Oh, like an orgy party.
Yeah, like a big orgy party.
Big orgy party, yeah. Okay, so that was that was ancient worship. Next up, we got modern worship.
Yep.
We're back. Let's transition.
That's right.
Whatever, next bit, let's go.
So, in more modern times, there's actually not a whole lot written about how Aphrodite is worshipped. So it's not like it's not like Aphrodite was worshipped in ancient Greece and Rome and that time, and then just like stopped being worshipped by like around like 4 AD. Like that's right around the time of the Christianization of Europe and the Mediterranean. So it's likely that she was still worshipped in between, and a lot of that stuff was just sort of like scrubbed.
Well, the beginning of that push for the unification of religion and that sort of process began. But yeah, it's, and you know what? To be completely fair, this is the case for a lot of esoteric, heathenry, witchy, otherly sort of practices. Is that for a long time it went so underground as to basically have no record of who done it.
Yeah.
But the way that I look at it is that we're talking about her, and so like that's proof that the whole time there's like, we didn't rediscover. This isn't like some new shit we just learned about. This is some shit we done.
Well,
been
and there
knowing
were
about,
some ways that the church modified Aphrodite's image to make it more like PC for the church. Yeah. Primarily turning
less sex,
her
drugs, and
a little
rock and roll.
closer to like Mary. Not Mary Magdalene either, like Mother Mary.
Yeah.
So there's some ways that happened there. There was a lot of paintings of her during the Renaissance, so there had to have been something happening there. But there's not a whole lot written in general until like the 20th century.
Yeah.
So in the 20th century, a guy who was an immigrant from Russia came to America and founded the Church of Aphrodite. Okay. This isn't as based on traditional Aphrodite worship as you would think it was. I don't know if it still exists, but and I'm sure it probably does, just not in a very like, pervasive.
Is the
place.
Church of Aphrodite still around?
I'm gonna say
not
really. There are probably some practitioners out there. I imagine it's going through a bit of a revival in the last like 10 or 15 years.
Sure, as these things have gotten more mainstream.
Yeah. Aphrodite mostly has become very popular in Wicca, specifically the religion of Wicca, where she is sometimes considered an aspect or a part of the greater mother goddess thing there. She's frequently invoked for love, for romance, emotions, creativity, art, sexuality. And Wicca became popular in the late 20th century.
Joke on the word sexuality?
I had to cough anyway.
She was like, it was so sexual I couldn't handle it.
Woo!
Yeah.
And in Wicca, it is not really talked about her ancient connections to being a warrior goddess. It's all love and beauty and art and stuff like that. So she's very popular there, and of course within the Hellenistic tradition, which has been getting a lot of people coming to it within the last like 10 years. She's a critical goddess there because she's one of the pantheon of the 12 big like Greek gods and goddesses. So there's the thing about it is you can kind of take whatever you want out of how she was worshipped then, how she's worshipped now, and kind of do what you want with it.
At any point in time, you can take whatever you want for any of this stuff. I feel like if anything, that's one of those points that you can get, especially from a deep dive into Aphrodite like this, when and I know we're glancing the surface of like a bunch of shit, right? But like it's sort of the observation collapses the waveform thing that I speak of often. But like you can always just sort of take from it what you want and appreciate what you want and respect everybody's practices.
And you can also make
assholes.
Stuff up.
Yeah, this is an asshole free zone. I'm the only one that's allowed to be an asshole. Fuck you guys.
You can always make things up too, because like at some point someone made all of this stuff up about her.
Well,
and then
or at
told
least
other people about
the
it. The
laws of the phone game. I mean, we played the phone game. We've all done this, and that was with like 12 people, and that was like maybe 5 minutes. Let's imagine several 100 million people and several thousand years. Like it's not gonna be dead on. So if you feel away, feel away. If an expert or a practitioner or hell a friend or whatever the heck are make you feel more comfortable, you're just like, yeah, I know that this is not as commonly practiced. It's just like, speaking about like leaving behind her warrior side in a lot of practice. Like, if you want to respect her without a warrior side, then like that's what's up. And if you want to respect her with a warrior side, then like that's what's up. Like everybody's got to have their own belief in that. And I think that that's where like sort of the crux of a lot of what we're doing here, especially with regard to this podcast and the community that we're trying to build, community push, but is that we sort of all accept the fact that like not all of us are going to be the exact same person all the time. That would be crazy. So like we have differences of opinion, and we got to respect those things. But so fucking tiny words aside, go.
So I have been really interested in Greek legends and myths since I was a kid. In fact,
forever.
Yeah,
yes.
since my whole life, and I even have like almost full sleeve tattoos, and half of it is basically dedicated to Greek mythos. I don't have an Aphrodite tattoo, although I do plan on one, which is a fun fact. But I started working with Aphrodite as a patron goddess like a little bit over a year and a half ago, something like that. I felt like I needed some love in my life. I felt like I needed some self-love and some confidence in my life. And especially because we've been, working from home for a while because of the apocalypse that's happening. It's different when you get up every day and you have like a beauty and like self-care routine, and then all of a sudden like you're just not doing it. It hurts your mental health. So I started matronizing.
Patronizing. I don't think that there's gender to the word patron.
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like there definitely is when I say the word patron.
Pater is father.
But I don't know that when you say patronize, you specifically mean father worship. That doesn't make any sense.
So I started working with Aphrodite like a little bit before the apocalypses started happening, and
I feel like that sounds derogatory.
I feel like it does.
I feel like matronizing sounds derogatory. Do you think matronizing sounds derogatory? It does to my ears, and I don't know why, but it seems disrespectful.
Patronizing sounds derogatory as well because you're patronizing someone. Patronizing you. Like Star Wars Episode 7. Patronizing.
I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about right now. Whatever.
Anyways.
I don't know. Whatever. Worshipping.
So I work with Aphrodite in meditation and in specifically meditation, like and ritual baths, and like meditative baths, and like a beauty ritual, and I have jewelry that I wear that reminds me of her that I wear every day, and I also actually made my own little Aphrodite sculpture for my altar, and I will post that on my social media so you guys can check that out as well. I'm very proud of it. And she has like a little home with like a bunch of little tchotchkes on the altar. And I will say a lot of people wonder how to work with the deity, and I'm not going to go super deep into it on this. We'll do a deep dive another time, but basically I went to a meditative state and called out to Aphrodite, and she came to me, and I asked her for help with confidence and loving myself and feeling beautiful. And she basically was like, all right, dope, I'll help you out, but like, here's what you have to do, and you got to keep doing it. And she wanted me to like look in the mirror at myself, and every time I look in the mirror, think about how beautiful I am. And I did that for like a day or two. Because you got a mirror in the bathroom, so every time you walk into the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror, think about how beautiful you are, right? So I did that for like a couple of days, and then I like fell off of the track. And I went a couple of days later into, did some more meditation and called out to her, and she was like, I'm not going to deal with you. You haven't done the thing I told you to do. So then I started actually doing the work. So that's the thing about working with a deity, and not just Aphrodite, but also all Aphrodite is deity work, if you're asking them for help.
If you wanna fucking own an old car, it takes the work of you working on that car. I mean, like, let's be real. All of life is doing work. It's the life part of life. But like, you gotta, do the
work.
Things. You gotta follow the things. You know?
That is the TLDR of working with a deity or a being like that. Is if you want their help with something and they tell you what to do, or they tell you that they want something in return, which generally shouldn't be negative, by the way, then you got to do it. Otherwise, they're going to be upset with you. But they're not going to, like, burn down your house or cause you to lust after your father, or anything like that.
Weird.
Like, come on, guys. It's not like that. So that's a basic of what I do. But I also put together some spells about Aphrodite. And I'm going to go ahead and share these with you real quick. And in the spells that I've got 2 of them for you that I'm about ready to go over. I do mention things that are correspondences for Aphrodite. I'm going to talk about my favorite thing, the correspondences, last. So don't worry, we haven't already talked about that. I don't expect you to necessarily just know that. So there's a ritual bath spell. And for all of these spells that I do, they're always very general purpose. So you can take this and you can put this in whatever context you want. So maybe Aphrodite isn't your jam, but you're really into like Artemis or Isis or somebody else. You can take these same concepts and put them in a different place.
Throwing it at Aphrodite, or you're throwing it at Aphrodite because you want to build up some confidence. Listen, I'm just going to put this out here. Every time you're near a mirror, you should look at yourself, and you should appreciate yourself. You should never be putting yourself down. Don't put yourself down.
Yeah.
Other people are gonna put you down. People are butts. Don't fuck those guys, right? They're just butts. So, like, you should be the one to build you up. This is a separate thing. I just had to say that because I don't like this self-deprecation thing. Like, we gotta hold ourselves up.
So I'm not gonna say it's a spell specifically for this or that, because everybody comes to a deity for a different reason.
At Aphrodite, and it's for whatever reason, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it can be for other gods, right? You can translate it linearly to the other people, but also it can be whether it's for the warrior side of Aphrodite or the matron side of Aphrodite or the like maybe you just want to just be like 10% hotter or something.
Yeah, or maybe you just want to do like really good sculptures of naked ladies.
I plan on going to the club later. I gotta hot up. Give me plus 10 to hotness.
Yeah. So then you do this spell.
You take a bath, roll a dice, get 18, make money. You know what I'm saying? So
you can do this either as a ritual bath or a shower. Not everybody is able to take a bath. So if you can't do a bath or you don't want to, you can do this in the shower as well with just some slight modifications. So first of all, you're going to collect some items from the correspondence list for Aphrodite. So like flowers and plants and stones and whatever.
We'll go over correspondences.
So grab some items from the correspondences list. You don't gotta go crazy and go shopping, just like whatever you seem to have around the house. Find some music that relaxes you. Personally, I like chill synthwave.
Yeah, dude.
It's my favorite.
It's that
Astral Throb.
That 80s synthwave shit is fire.
Astral Throb is my favorite. Astral Throb
is gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So, find some music that relaxes you, and if you can't really think of music, or if you think that listening to music, like, with words is going to be distracting, find, like, some ambient ocean sounds, because she's, like, a sea goddess, and carve out some time where you won't be disturbed. You don't need to take a necessarily long time here. Like, however long you normally take in the bath or shower will do for this. You don't have to go and make a special deal for it unless you want to. And in that case, get it.
Yeah, do
girl or boy.
Yeah, do you
or they.
person.
So, put your music on, light some candles. If you're going to be in the bath, don't light some candles if you're in the shower, because you can't see that anyway. You might burn the place down. Dim the lights, get some ambient lighting, or like every episode we have to, like, talk about.
Fiercely lighting a candle in a shower, just angrily with a torch.
Every episode we basically end up talking about fire safety.
Be safe with fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Please be safe
light
with
some
fire.
Candles or dim the lights.
It's crazy that I'm the one that's so
light
unsafe.
some incense or spray like some perfume and air freshener. You want to create like an ambiance, and then draw your bath or your shower, whatever temperature you prefer, because it's really about you and being comfortable. Then it's like Aphrodite only takes baths that are 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Like that seems, first of all, like a really cold bath, but
hot tub's 107
or something like that. Yeah.
So,
and then ease in. So now you're in the bath or you're in the shower. You've got your ambiance going, and with each breath in, let your mind clear and let your body relax. And we're gonna talk a little bit about the meditation practice now, just as part of the spell, but we'll do a deep dive for meditation later, because we both meditate in wildly different ways.
Very different ways.
And there's a lot of people
and we've both been meditating for a long time, right?
And a lot of people don't know how to meditate. So this is specifically
feel like
with
you have
this
to meditate in a specific way, and it's never really worked out for you.
So for this spell, use this method. But if this doesn't work for you, use whatever meditation method you want. You can kind of figure it out and sort of modify.
Yeah.
So with each breath, let your mind clear and let your body relax. Imagine yourself breathing in whatever colors associated with Aphrodite you feel most connected to in that moment. Maybe it's the color of the sea. Maybe it's pink. Maybe it's like a pearlescent color or gold. Imagine yourself breathing it in through your nose and having that color permeate your whole body. And when you breathe out, imagine you're breathing out a color that in that moment you would see as being waste. That is negativity, like leaving your body. And that doesn't mean you can't like that color. Like sometimes I feel like the color of waste is brown. And I like the color brown in general, but in that moment to me, it feels like the thing that my body doesn't need. So breathe out whatever color that is. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, at first just focus on the colors leaving. And then once you've kind of got that down and your mind is clear, you're relaxed, you're breathing in, you're breathing out, imagine that you're breathing in the aspects of Aphrodite that you want to embody, and those are filling you and those are lighting you up inside. And imagine that you're breathing out the things that make it so that you feel like you can't do that. So if you want to patron Aphrodite for self-love, and not like giggity sex love, but like the kind of love where you love yourself more, you value yourself more. Imagine that you're breathing in that color and you're seeing the ways that you value yourself. You're thinking about the things about you that are really great, that people say that are great about you, that you think are great about you, things that you like to do, stuff that makes you feel confident and loved. Yeah. And then imagine that you're breathing out your fears and your insecurities and even moments in time where you didn't feel like you were being loved by yourself.
Let me TLDR this. Breathe in self-love. Breathe out self-doubt.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
That's really good.
Breathe in self-love.
Breathe out self-doubt. There you go.
Very simple.
Continue doing that for as long as you like.
Make that a button.
You should make that a button.
We're making buttons!
Yeah.
We're going to buy this stuff to make buttons, guys.
We're going to send buttons out to our Patreon
Oh my God, we're going to do buttons for the patrons. It's going to be great. We're going to make so many buttons.
Maybe even shirts.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to do shirts. We just got to figure it out.
Sometimes all you get are desiccated bones. I'm just saying.
So I call this color breathing, and I talk about it a lot. It's something that I do literally every single day, and it helps me a ton, and it doesn't mean that you need to know what the meaning of the colors are, that sort of thing. Just whatever color makes you happy.
Red means a thing, then red means a thing to you.
Yeah.
That's how the mind works, right?
Yeah.
When you collapse the waveform, you make it real, and all of us are collapsing different waveforms, right, man? So for some people, red is anger, and for others, it's love, and for others, it's just that darkness on the inside, because they don't think of black as a color. I mean, it's a thing where it's like it's different for all of us, and we just have to as as a group.
Yeah.
Again, I say this all the time, right? That shit doesn't affect you, dog. Just let that motherfucker do whatever they want. Respect other people's shit.
With back to the colors thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, I'm breathing in Tiffany Robin's egg blue, and I'm breathing out
Very specific.
brown. Yeah,
Our stash specifically.
Yeah, and I'm breathing out Crayola burnt umber. It doesn't have to be like that. You can also think of like
in with the cotton candy, out with the
in with
umber.
the color of the sea. That one time I was there, that I found this like super cool shell, or in the color and feeling of the light in the forest after it rains. It can be as abstract or as definitive as you want. That's the beauty of the color breathing. So continue doing the color breathing as long as you like. When you are done and you get out of your shower, you get out of your bath, try to extend that feeling that you have, that calm, meditative feeling where everything feels at peace and you feel like you are refreshed and reborn, much like Aphrodite rising from the waters. Try to extend that feeling for as long as you can. Maybe that feeling goes until you get out of the shower and you dry off and then you're like, screw this day. But try to extend it longer and longer each time that you repeat this spell. So that is the ritual bath that you can do. And then I also have a quick candle spell for you guys. Candle spells are super easy and super fun to do because who doesn't like playing with fire?
If you do it safely. Dude, 12 times an episode. Every time I will tell you how to be safe with fire.
Yeah.
Be safe with fire.
So,
I have been burned
I know.
so many times. Don't do it. It's not good for you. Right?
So take a candle, preferably one that is a color that is associated with Aphrodite. Carve into it what you would like Aphrodite's help with. That can be however you want. You can create in a sigil. You're writing words on there. I'm just going to use self-love again. So you're going to you're going to scratch in self-love or a sigil. You can do it in whatever language you want. When you're carving something in, I highly recommend that you use a fine tip ballpoint or gel pen that you do not care about anymore. I have tried to carve things into candles in many, many ways because I've been a witch for a long time, and a big deal, like a lot of things are carving symbols into candles.
Yeah.
And I've done it with like a pin, and I've done it with like a knife, and I've done it with like any conceivable possible thing you can think of. It is the easiest with a fine tip ballpoint or gel pen, and that you just use that pen for that purpose forever. It doesn't write anymore.
Yeah, she is 100% wrong. Okay, so hey, they make a tool. It's like a little hexagon piece of steel in a straight line, and at the very end of it, they drill a tiny hole. At like the very tip, they drill a tiny hole tangential to the mode by which you would carve. And what it does when you scrape it along a thing is it cuts into it, and then out of the back of it comes like a single
that's cool
goldfish poop string.
But you know what I don't
wax,
have
so
is
you can
one
go
of
zoop
those.
zoop zoop. They cost like probably $5.
Yeah,
Get one of those, or a hot knife,
or just use a ballpoint pen,
or
guys.
just listen. Use a regular knife and then carefully do both sides of the V, so that way you carve it out perfectly. As a whittler, and I know that makes me sound like an old man, but
now
fuck
is
you
your
guys.
progressive.
Fuck you guys! I love whittling. It's so good. Oh my god.
Okay.
Get a knife and whittle.
So
whittle a candle.
Your intention into this candle. And then anoint the candle with oil, aka put some oil on your fingers, rub that oil on the candle.
Yeah.
And then roll in dried rose petals or other dried flower petals. So you take your oily candle, roll that.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Dry flowers. First of all, they're not that expensive.
Yeah.
Go to the store.
We do.
Dude, we buy flowers
Yeah.
every single time we go to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
We buy flowers.
Yeah.
I have a plant problem. Every time I see a plant that's pretty, I want to own it, and then inevitably I do, which is awful. We have a lot of plants everywhere all the time.
We spend as much on plants as we do in beer.
Yeah, and I drink a lot.
So, try drying your own petals. Because
hang them upside down.
Yeah.
That's it. Tie it with
Or
thread,
you can also
hang it
purchase
upside
them
down.
online. If you buy them in bulk, they're pretty inexpensive for the most part.
Yeah.
So take your candle, place it into a fireproof container. And around the outside of the container, decorate with items that are corresponding with Aphrodite or that remind you of her. Plus in front of you, directly in front of you in this candle thing. Something that you can wear or carry with you every day or most days to imbue your life with her essence.
A bracelet, some
I use pearl earrings.
Yeah, earrings work.
Just little
if
pearl
you have
earrings.
like a bracelet that you wear all the time, like this, I wear this all the time. Until this
Yeah.
breaks, this is on my arm. You know, put that in there, charge that up.
Yep.
Right? Same thing with if you got like a special necklace, or if you plan on making a necklace, do that with the beads.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Pretty good idea. Haven't done this yet. Vague, sort of, kinda. I haven't done this yet, but in this specific way. But if you do your own tattoo work, man, put some.
You could do that too.
Put your ink bottles
you can
out there.
also, if you aren't a jewelry
work, that's
person, you can also imbue an article of clothing
Yep.
or a tchotchke to keep in your pocket, like a seashell or a tiny
piece of paper
bag
with
of
like a fun
herbs.
symbol that you decided
Yeah,
to draw
you
on
can do
it.
this with just about anything. So take the thing.
Yeah.
Take your totem, as it were, and put it in front of you, and then light the candle and say, Aphrodite, hear my call. Guide me to, and then whatever your action is. So guide me to loving myself more every day.
Yeah.
As I wear or carry or whatever this thing, so as I wear these pearl earrings, I incorporate self-love into my life. So action. And then repeat this as many times as you feel necessary. Now, that being said, you do not have to say this out loud. You can say this in your mind space.
Yeah.
You can say it out loud. You can whisper it, whatever it is you want to do.
Do it in a different way.
Yeah.
Do the thing that feels good to you.
Yeah, and then repeat this as many times as you feel necessary. So, baby witches, I'm sorry, but like you just kind of repeat it until you're like, yeah, that feels right.
Yeah.
Or you have like
Whatever
a
feels
number,
cool.
like my favorite number is 9, so I tend to do things 9 times, but I'm not always counting on this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So once you feel that you have said that as many times as necessary, put out the candle. You don't necessarily want to burn that baby out. You want to save that juju for next time. And then redo this spell as often as you need to charge the item or
Remind
whatever
yourself
it is that you
of
need
the
to do.
goal or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, hey, we're back. Fucking correspondences time.
Yep, my favorite part.
It's the best part. It's correspondences part.
I hope you guys enjoy those spells. We're gonna be hitting you with some more of those.
Yeah, we're gonna do at least one spell or some shit. Everything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
It takes me a while to write that stuff down.
Post
So,
podcast
in those
spellorama.
spells, I talked about correspondences.
Yeah,
So I'm just going
correspondi.
to go over the things that Aphrodite is known for or that relate to her in several different categories. So
Okay.
Aphrodite is mainly worshipped for love, for beauty, for pleasure, fertility, sex, the sea, jewelry, art, and creativity. Animals that are sacred to Aphrodite are the dove. A lot of her really, really old iconography shows her holding a dove in front of her chest.
Iconography?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Iconography?
That's also what I said. So, the dolphin...
Tomato, potato, guys.
Yeah, the dolphin is also sacred to her, as is the swan, the pig, rabbits, white male goats, don't ask why, and shellfish, but not crabs. So, like, clams and shells, but not sea spiders.
What about a lobster?
Not that.
Oh, okay.
Think like abalone and like clams and shells.
I get
and
that
that one
it's-
that you like blow in and it goes woo. That one.
A
Those.
snail? It's just a sea snail.
I mean, I guess it's got a name.
A sea snail.
It's got a name that's not a sea snail. So
Does
those are
it?
the animals.
You
Colors
might be wrong.
associated with Aphrodite are yellow, like her typically long yellow hair, pink, red, and sea green or sea blue. She has... No, I'm going to start that sentence over.
The rocks associated
The
with her.
rocks associated with her.
Dude, I saw what was next and heard you start talking and was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Are you gonna name another color that's not written down? She's coming up with colors over here?
Just coming up with colors.
Hey, these are the rocks she's associated with. You can just say that every time.
Yeah, these are the rocks she's associated with. I don't know. It's just my mouth was just like brah brah brah, and my brain was like, "What is happening?" So these are the rocks that she's associated with. So shells, rose quartz, aventurine.
The first rock you said wasn't a rock. What the fuck is happening right now? A shell isn't a rock. Don't listen to the lies.
So
hashtag truth.
Shells, rose quartz, aventurine, pearls, gold, and copper are all associated with Aphrodite. So foods, we got apples.
Some of those rocks were rocks.
I'm considering them all
Only like
rocks.
2 of them were crystals.
They're all
rocks. This is an absurd
pearl
list.
Is also a rock.
I'm judging these correspondences.
So the foods associated with Aphrodite, apples, pomegranates. I know everybody talks about Persephone and pomegranates, but pomegranates were like a sexy time food in Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask.
Okay.
Well, pomegranate seeds have some like mild properties similar to birth control.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's part of it. But yeah, they were considered like a sexy time food. Chocolate, of course, and lettuce. Don't ask.
Lettuce is hot.
Lettuce is hot.
Is there like a hot lettuce lady? Somebody on the internet do that. Rule
Hot
34. I've summoned Rule 34. Somebody figure that out.
I feel like hot lettuce lady looks like the weed girls in Major Lazer.
It's already figured out.
It's already been figured out.
You guys didn't have to do anything. Never mind. I
Herbs
canceled my order.
associated with Aphrodite, we've got roses, we've got myrtle, myrrh, and limes. Yes, limes. I decided to put that in herbs and not foods. I don't know why.
It's because a lime is the thing that after you do the tequila shot, lime. I get it. Ladies, little Aphrodite lime post tequila shot.
Yeah. So if you're looking for an incense that fits Aphrodite, you can use frankincense or myrrh or any flowery or fruity type of scent. Like it's super open there.
Yeah.
And other aspects. So, there are some other aspects of her that are like that I don't usually mention for correspondences, and that is her element. So Aphrodite's element is water. Her tarot card is the Lovers. Her sacred day is Friday, or also the 4th of the month. That feels like a very arbitrary day, so I don't know why that is, but that's a thing. And she's also known for being sort of the patron goddess of perfumes and jewelry. Mirrors are related to Aphrodite, you know, because looking at yourself. And also girdles or corsets, I suppose you could probably do too.
A corset and a girdle are basically the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Or at least so far as I'm aware.
Yeah. There are, if you want to get really into it, there are a few aspects of Aphrodite as well. So the Greeks had Urania Aphrodite, which was about heavenly love. So that's like faith, your religion. There's Pandemos Aphrodite, who was like common love, like love between a man and a woman. That's definitely what it says. And then there was Aphrodite.
I feel like shots fired.
I feel like shots fired.
Yeah, I don't know why, but shots fired.
And then there's Aphrodite Area, which was the warlike aspect of Aphrodite. Go Sparta.
It's war love.
Yeah. And then there's also other deities that are similar to, but not the same as Aphrodite. And some of these Aphrodite sort of merged with, and some of these she may have been born out of, like, you know, they may have morphed into her. And that's Venus, Astarte, Ishtar, Inanna, the Vedic Hindu goddess Ushas. I am probably saying that wrong. If so, I am very sorry. Hathor and Isis. So you've got a lot of like mother gods there. You could also look at Mother Mary. I'm sure there are others in the Christian side of things that you can pull from there.
Yeah.
So that is your deep dive on Aphrodite, aka Julie tells us about Greek myths.
Yeah. Yay, we're going to do more of that. Don't worry. It's going to happen more often. And if we want more on Aphrodite, there is more. We will talk about more. But either way, I have been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This is the Horn and Cauldron podcast.
Yep.
And yeah, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff.
If you're listening to us on a podcast service, thank you so much, our 2 listeners.
Yeah, what's up? You guys are the best. You're the best around.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever going to get you down.
Yeah. If you want to check us out on social media or any of our other presences, check us out at nerdjive.com.
Yeah.
You can also get onto our Patreon.
Yeah.
And
patronize us on our Patreon.
Patronize us on our Patreon.
Listen, if you want to pay me a couple of dollars a month and then just tell me I'm a piece of shit, like that's not going to make me sad. So
oh my gosh,
okay
I feel like if we were in a sitcom, I would have to say, "But that's my job," and then the audience laugh track.
Wow. I'm not happy now.
You're welcome.
I just lost happiness, guys.
We don't live in a sitcom, so I wasn't going to say that. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening / watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing next time, but we're going to do something dope, probably. Probably more deep dives. I'm super into these.
We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be a I talk all the time one. Maybe we'll do runes or something.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Nobody wants to listen to me, right? I'm just a crazy guy in the corner. Who fucking cares? But yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.